Hello everybody and welcome back to a new mod showcase. It's been a little while since our last mod showcase, but I'm back on it again, back on the grind. I have been doing off the scenes some more linear campaign playthroughs, so feel free to go check that out if you haven't already. It's pretty naughty. Cela, however, I've covered one of their mods not too long ago. Actually, I think it was the last mod. Double whammy here. Has released a new mod, and they've been working on this for years, so please do go check this out. They've put a lot of work into this. Go check it out, leave it some love, install it for yourself and really go through. It is a complete overhaul of your game experience, which is quite a brave thing to do because SFO is kind of running the show, to be fair, at the moment. So for Cela to come in here and try and do something new and try and do something of their own is quite, brave and definitely considerable of taking some time to actually have a look at it. My aim with this video is to kind of give you a general gist of what they're trying to do, as well as giving you examples as how things differ from vanilla to the modded version, to see if it is something which tickles your pickles. So with that being said, do leave me a like, go check out the mod 110%, and subscribe if you haven't already. And with that being said, let's get into it. Okay, so here we go. I think this is probably the best way to show off this mod because there is so much to show off and it's going to be really difficult for me to actually show it off. So I think what's going to be best for me to do is kind of give you a general gist of what this mod's trying to do and kind of give you a couple of examples here and there. But I think the best way for you to actually learn exactly what this does is for you to download the mod itself and then go to your favourite faction, say, and then test it out yourself. Because this mod redoes everything. Even down to the names, like for example here, this normal spearman and swordsman here have now been changed to the Empire's swordsman. I know, revolutionary, but it's still nice, it's thematic, and I love saying that word. So with that being said, let's cover the general rules of what this mod is trying to do. So generally, what this mod is actually aiming to do is kind of give you a refresh on having better battle experience and rebalancing units all round. When it comes to range units and spells and stuff like that, and charges especially, these could be unit wiping situations. Charges, spells, range. I mean, some spells are already unit wiping, have unit wiping capability, but basically more so with this mod. I will show you here, for example, the missile infantry for the Empire. I think the Empire's a nice one to show off. Missile infantry for the Empire, they all have reversed or changed around stats to make them more versatile and unique, as well as serving a bit of a better purpose. And the infantry does the same thing, but I'll come back to the infantry in a second. So have a look at the missile here, for example. We've got a pistol unit, which actually shows you and tells you what the pistol unit is trying to do. So here, armor piercing damage, short range, so meant to be used as shot damage or as a devastating flanker, so really nice there. When it comes to militia archers, using a bow, really nice. So obviously being able to use a bow, they've got faster reload times and have quite high range, but not as effective against armor. So not really packing all too much in terms of armor piercing. Crossbowmen. Now usually, I don't know about everyone else, but when I'm playing as an Empire faction, I replace my militia archers with crossbowmen at the first chance I get. So crossbowmen here, they've got good range, which is fine. Crossbow. So the cool thing is here, and I've done a bit of a tester as well off screen, the crossbows have better armor piercing damage, which, yeah, nice one, that's fine. Decent range, which is actually the same as the archers. But if you read at the bottom there, they have longer reload times than bows and often result in having an unfavourable matchup against archers. So usually you just replace the archers with crossbows, but here the archers, and I tested this out, the archers, if they didn't go after the Lord in this situation, would have probably have won my crossbowmen, because my crossbowmen did a better initial shot. They absolutely devastated the archers with the initial shot. But by the time they reloaded, the archers shot 2 of their volleys out, which every time they kill one entity is like devastating for us. So we traded quite poorly against the archers for obviously having crossbowmen. And even more so to take into account that the crossbowmen are a tier 2 unit and these archers are a tier 1 unit. If we go up against a quarreler unit or whatever, we'd probably get absolutely wrecked, I'll be honest. So it's nice to see a bit more of versatility in the roles of different units. When it comes to the infantry choices, basically a lot of them have been revised and a lot of them have been changed around. But entity count and health has been a massive thing. So yes, charges and stuff can absolutely devastate your back lines, as they can always do, as well as spells. But to kind of counter that, you've now got chunkier infantry. So for example here, look at the swordsman. 160 entity count, as well as 40 melee attack and 50 melee defense. So a ridiculously strong unit. Tier 2 though, so I think they're boosted up from a tier 1 infantry choice. But all round a much chunkier unit, and that's the whole point of infantry. If they are not going to serve a specific purpose, like for example the great swords, another good example, the great swords are now going to be more your shock and charge unit. They've got a passive ability, acceleration, line breaker, so they're going to be trying to charge in there and do devastating damage as a charging unit, a shock unit. That's kind of their role they fill now, right? So they do fill a role, more specifically instead of just getting in there and getting down and dirty. They're meant to be kind of cycle chargers, line breakers, really getting in there. If they don't serve a specific purpose, it's because they're there to just fucking blob up. So if we use the SKAVEN for an example here, we look at the SKAVEN slaves, entity count of 400, and even the clan rats. Clan rats have an entity count of 300, and that's their purpose. That is their purpose. They're never going to be good. They're never going to be great, because the other units will now have new abilities, right, and better stats, and maybe less numbers here and there. But I think generally speaking, they're probably going to have more unit entity count anyway. But that is their purpose: to get in there, blob up, take the blow from the devastating charge from a horse unit while the storm vermin come in and try and clamp them down, sort of thing. So what this mod really tries to stress and aim to do is kind of bringing balance to the whole entire board of all the units, giving every single unit kind of a fundamental use, as well as also allowing you to still experience a better and more, not necessarily longer battles, but more enjoyable battles in terms of more rewarding. Every unit now has instead of leveling up to a certain point where certain units become just redundant, this mod kind of makes it so that even in turn 50 they could still have a use, which is really nice. What I will do real quick is just jump over to a battle and show you what happens in battle as well. We've got a little bit of a tester we can show you. I think a good one would be to show off those great swords doing their charge and just absolutely wrecking house. So let's jump into a little bit of a battle there and show you what's happening there. Okay, so here we go as we're testing out the charge for the great swords here, obviously having that extra mass, acceleration and charge speed as long as they're charging, obviously leaning into that shock infantry choice. Another cool thing they've added is being able to stretch out your boys so much further. I mean, look at that. Look at the line we can create. Let's actually do that real quick, just to kind of give you a bit of a representation there, a bit of an idea. Look how far they can actually spread across there, which is insane. This is applied to all units. You can do that with the crossbowmen, you can do it with the gunners. Obviously, just thinking about Empire choices here, everything can spread out so much further. With that being said, let's actually have a look at the bread and butter when it comes to the charge. Now, one thing to take into account is this is the modded version, so the health is still going to be higher than usual, as well as the melee defense and other such. However, when it comes to, and look at that speed as they're going in there. Ooh, a nice charge. Again, we've taken out maybe what a fifth of their health just on that charge alone. You think about this as well. So the swordsmen are now built for that exact purpose, getting in the way. Okay, you change that with a unit which isn't meant to be charged, like an arch unit, maybe from behind, absolutely decimated, instantly dead, I can guarantee. And and they're actually doing really well. Bearing in mind we took out a fifth of them in the initial charge, they're actually doing quite well at holding off here. I mean, what's the entity count at? Still, the entity count is still at 116, which is really good, considering that the base units was only 120. So all round, can't really complain there. 100, still above 100 entities. They've killed 7 of my boys so far, which is pretty good as well. Trading up against the great swords there. But yeah, that's just a bit of a idea, shall we say, a bit of an inclination as to the versatility now of units. Instead of just basically upgrading over time and making some units more redundant, you've now got a unit which is meant to hold the line, but as the whole entire purpose is to hold that line there. You've now got a unit which is going to excel, yes, at dealing damage, and yes, at being a better unit all round, but also having the capability of being a shock and awe unit, right? So it's nice. It brings life and brings a bit more versatility to all the units here. That guy just lost his head. So yeah, a really nice little showcase there. We are absolutely decimating them, as expected. But you mix this with some archers or crossbowmen, which obviously have the better capability of like doing damage against armoured, or maybe even gunners, would soon get absolutely ripped apart. The swordsmen are doing their sole purpose of just holding the line. With that being said, let's actually now head on over to the campaign and have a look at the different campaign changes around the map and on the actual battle map itself and the campaign map itself, as to what that adds as well. So let's skip on over there as these boys retreat. Okay, a quick little jump in here. I've done a bit of a side-by-side comparison from the vanilla experience of certain starting armies for different lords of different races, as well as the modded version of different starting lords and different races. So you can they're the same lords for each version, but you can see there, feel free to pause away as I go through the difference between, again, primarily with infantry choices, entity count, health and stuff like that. I think I show Elizabeth faction and the skink cohorts have an entity count of 200 skinks, whereas in comparison to the vanilla I think it's 160. So feel free, I'm going to just have that play out. It's around about 40 seconds, so just have a quick little stop and play there, just to kind of give you a couple of examples of different factions, and have a look at the abilities as well as you go through. I'm not going to hover over the abilities, but you can see certain units do have new abilities, a bit like the great swords having the line breaker ability. So that being said, let's just play that clip and then we'll jump into the campaign and show off things a little bit more there. So 2 seconds. Okay, so here we are. Let's have a look at the campaign side of the changes with this mod. Now, we'll start off with the different traits that the lords can get. There are absolutely shit tons of them. Okay, so I'm not going to go through every single one, otherwise we'll be here until Christmas next year. However, what I will do is show you quickly the modded version, and then I'll quickly switch over to the vanilla version so we can see basically the difference of what it is. So here, if we go in Regal, the Regal engineer here, it gives you +5 campaign movement range for all allied armies in that province where that lord is. 15% vigor loss reduction for all units in his army. Melee defense +3 for all units in the army, and then reload time reduction +10% for all units in the army, which is a really nice lord. And again, every single lord with every single trait has been changed now. Let's quickly swap over to the vanilla version just to see what Regal is like in a vanilla game. Give me 2 seconds. as opposed to a vanilla Regal version, which only gives you +4 control and +25 leadership. So quite the difference there. Let's quickly hop back to the modded version. Okay, so there you go. You can see there, obviously, massive difference in terms of lord traits. Another cool thing, again, there are other mods you can use in conjunction with this, but if you just wanted for an overhaul and an overhaul is all you wanted, this mod allows it so that you get additional level up points when you level up. As weird as that sounds. So from level 2 to 10, you get 2 skill points instead of 1. Now, there are plenty of mods out there which gives you +2 points anyway, but if you just wanted for a general overhaul mod, then this could obviously tickle that pickle to fill all the needs you ever needed. Let's have a look if I level up again. Did I? Oh, I did. Just to prove a point. There we go. Leveled up again to level 3. Got 2 more points. Boom. Boom. Another thing to take into account is all of the skill trees have been kind of rehashed and gone back through. Instead of having 3 points here, you can see it's now only 2, which again offers more basically situations where you can put more skill points into other areas. Still giving quite a nice buffs and stuff like that. Obviously the recruitment cost there, the +10 control, really good there. So still definitely nice to go down this route and obviously pick your different areas. However, you're not having to put 3 points into it, it's now only 2. So 2 and done, and then you move on to the next one. 2 and done, then move on to the next one. 2 and done, then move on to the next one. It's like there, for example. Level 2 lightning strike, instead of having to put 3 points into it, gives it so that you can prevent enemies from joining in as reinforcements, and then also if you was to allow them to come in, it has an additional 50% reinforcement time on top. So a nice little change there. When it comes to main cities, thank you. Okay, when it comes to main cities, another thing which has been changed is they're fucking huge. They're so much bigger. Again, kind of adding to the capabilities of being able to build just bigger and better settlements, introducing a lot more to the settlements and allowing you to just really go balls to the wall. When it comes to other stuff, like for example, recruiting lower tier units is still pretty cheap, only 500 for example, some swordsmen, and the upkeep is also pretty low as well, only 100 for the swordsman there. When it comes to recruit duration, how long it actually takes per turn to actually recruit something, most of the infantry choices are only 1 turn now, because the idea is to churn out these lower, not necessarily lower tier units, but you know, basically armies quicker and to get into the combat a little bit quicker as well, which is quite nice. When it comes to higher tier units, their price cap has been raised, so they cost more to recruit, like the greatswords and stuff like that. They cost more to recruit, however their actual upkeep has been reduced as well. So again, kind of putting into the thought process that you're paying a lot outright to actually, you know, get them equipped and get them armor and get them, you know, the greatsword. But once they've got it, what are you paying for? To feed them? That's all, really. Like, so the upkeep goes down, but the actual recruit cost goes up. So a nice little trade-off there. When it comes to edicts and stuff like that, I don't think we can really show it off too much. Oh god, it's a get out of here quick. Okay. When it comes to edicts, there has been a revamp on edicts as well. Bretonian is a nice one to show off if you want to have a look at that. However, I won't go into too deep dives and into stuff like that, but basically edicts have been redone as well, so there are now trade-offs as well as better buffs as well to the edicts, and different rights and stuff like that, which is really cool as well. I think in general that's pretty much it. It's a very skimmed over version here. There is so much in this mod. I can't do it justice in the sense of showing it all off, because I will be here till next year. I think one other good thing we can show off, we can't actually talk to them. Let's have a look. Yes, so when it comes to quote unquote nemesis factions, so factions which you absolutely fucking hate, your aversion to them is up significantly there as well. So basically, if there's a faction which you are completely against and that's your main target, then your aversion is a lot higher and relations sour a lot quicker with those factions as well. So there's a bit of a revamp there. So all in all, I hope I've done a good enough job at kind of generalizing what this mod offers. Again, as I started off saying, I definitely recommend you yourself going out and downloading this mod, checking it out for yourself, obviously picking your best faction, your favourite faction, and going into it, because I can't do it justice. I can't do this mod justice because of the amount it throws in. Very similar to the SFO mod. There is so much in it, I can't do it justice. But what I can do is give you a generalised rundown of what this mod aims to do and what this mod offers on a generalised term instead of getting into the nitty gritty. If you want me to sit here and go through the stats of every single unit from vanilla to new, I could do that, but it'll be a 50-part series for each faction because there is so much. But there you go. Please do go check this mod out. Support Cela. Actually, I think that's just a last statement to kind of throw in there. Obviously, I covered the Bloodline mod from Cela. That mod, because it's the same creator, is already implemented. So the massive buffs to the bloodlines for the vampires over here from that mod is in this mod as well. It's just as a throw-in. I think another mod they've done as well is included. I've not actually checked that one out. But basically, the mods they do is part of this Overhaul mod. So fret not, it's all included. So definitely go check Cela out. Obviously, show some support. Download the mod. Try it out yourself. Because again, this video won't do it justice, but I'm hoping I'll bring a little bit of a limelight to Cela because they've put literal years and hundreds of hours into testing this mod and making sure that everything works properly. If you find something which doesn't work properly, go tell them. Go let them know. That's the whole point of it. But this is a brave endeavour for them, and this is obviously a pretty impressive mod in terms of what it actually has done on a grand scheme of things, on a grand scale of things. So please do go check it out. On that note, let's end it off by saying, if you haven't already, please leave me a like, subscribe if you haven't already, check out my other mod showcases as well as Cela's mod showcase. I've done a mod on their other showcase which is included in this, as well as checking out my campaign narrative playthroughs I've been doing as well. With that being said, I hopefully will see you in the very near future. Have a good rest of your day, and I will catch you in the next one. Bye!